to the Freedom Class. Thank you for joining me today. I'm delighted to have you in here with me. I'm Debbie Wallace. I'm the creator and the host of the Freedom Class. And this video is about how this works. How this works, yes. Now, I'm assuming that you've taken a look around the site, and chances are you've already joined the Freedom Class. If not, that's the first thing you're going to need to do. You're going to need to go onto the site, and there are several links, some on the first page that say join the Freedom Class or join now. Go ahead and click on that link and sign up. It's really super easy. Just follow the prompts, and then you'll have access to all of the resources on the site. Now, the Freedom Class is free. We don't charge anything for teaching the Freedom Class, although there are some things that you can purchase on the site. The Freedom Class is a 7-step process. It's about putting on the full armor of God that was taught in Ephesians chapter 6 in the Bible by the Apostle Paul. And it's really about letting go of the past. This is what God did for me. I didn't come up with this material on my own. It's really what God did for me, and I'm just passing it on to you. So the Bible says that we should put on the full armor of God, and it lists 7 pieces for us to do that. Number 1 is the belt of truth. Number 2 is the breastplate of righteousness. Number 3 is the first shoe. Number 4 is the second shoe. Then there's the shield of faith. Number 6 is the helmet of salvation. And finally, number 7 is the sword of the Spirit. Now, in the Freedom Class, we put on this armor in a way that is applicable to our daily life. I've heard several messages in my life about the full armor of God. I bet you have too, if you've been in and around the church community for very long. But I promise you, you're never going to hear it taught like I'm going to teach it. I did not ever think about approaching the full armor of God for my emotional injury, but it's just the way God did it with me. And it's a really simple and straightforward process, and it follows a definite plan. So what we do is we take these 7 pieces of armor and we transpose them into 7 steps. And those 7 steps are presented in the 4 volumes of the Armor series, and it looks like this. Book 1, Instead of Shame, is an introduction to the Freedom Class. Book 1 incorporates my story, and it describes emotional bondage in detail. That's Book 1, Instead of Shame. Book 2, Instead of Disgrace, presents the first 2 steps of putting on the full armor of God, the belt of truth and the breastplate of righteousness. Then we move on to Book 3, A Double Portion, where we're going to get the next 2 steps, which is the 2 shoes, the first shoe and the second shoe. And then the final book, number 4, Everlasting Joy, incorporates the last 3 steps of putting on the full armor of God. That's the shield of faith, the helmet of salvation, and the sword of the Spirit. Now, this is what you got to know. You ready? At this time, only Book 1 is published. The other 3 books, Instead of Disgrace, A Double Portion, and Everlasting Joy, are not published yet. Now, I have actually written them, but I haven't gotten them published yet. They're not edited professionally. They've got to go through the process, and we're working on that right now, but they are not published yet. However, the good news is you don't have to worry about that, because I have taken all 7 steps and made a video course which is on the site. So you don't have to wait for the books to come out. You can get the 7 steps by video course. So this is what I want you to do. Number 1, I want you to read Instead of Shame. Do that first. Instead of Shame, right here, is Book 1 that we just discussed, And again, it incorporates my story. It describes emotional bondage in detail. I promise you, it will change your life. Just this book will, because you're going to see things differently. It's going to answer a lot of questions. So you're going to read instead of shame. Now, what I want you to know is that instead of shame is not part of the video course. Got that? You got to know that. Instead of shame is not in the video course, it's in book form only. So you actually have to read this book. Then when you move on to the 7 steps, they are not in book form. They are only in video format, at least for now, until the other books come out. So again, read instead of shame first, and then begin the video course. Now the video course begins, of course, with step 1, putting on the belt of truth, which we just call truth. And then when you move on from truth, you're going to go on to step 2, relationship, and then to step 3, and so forth until you complete all the 7 steps. Do not skip any steps or study them out of order. God told us to put on the full armor of God, and He told us how to do it in this order, right? And that's the order in which we're going to do it. We would be foolish to do it any other way, because we want to get this done God's way, right? So to access the video series, just click the courses link in the tab in the menu at the top of the page on the website, or you can visit the bulletin board. Now the bulletin board happens to be one of my favorite parts of the website, and I'm just going to give the bulletin board a little bit of a push right now, because the bulletin board is where members need to go to see what kind of activity is coming up. You can access everything really quickly on the bulletin board, and I hope you'll use it regularly. It's on the home page down toward the bottom, and all you have to do is just go to the bulletin board, and you're going to find all of the 7 steps that are in the series. So whichever one you're in. There are also on the bulletin board workbook pages, some links to upcoming attractions such as live homework sessions and that kind of thing. And I'll be posting different things on the bulletin board as well at different times. So make sure you use that to your advantage. Number 3, check out the workbook. Check out the workbook. The workbook is a big part of the freedom process. It helps you to get the truths that are taught in this series from here down into here. You know, that's something that a lot of my students ask me, and I hear this time and time again, especially with new students when they're just beginning and they come into the class for the first time. They say, I know that I'm hearing the truth, but I can't seem to get it in here. You know, I'm getting it here, but how do you move it from here into here? How do you get it from your head into your heart? Well, the workbook will help you to do that. So I just want to go ahead and warn you now that a lot of the workbook questions are intensely personal. They're composed in a way that will help you process the material in a positive and empowering manner. And I want you to make sure that you take advantage of that. Don't miss out. The workbook is a powerful medium, and it will help you to digest what you're getting in the Freedom class and to actually put it to use. And it will help you to change your thinking. And that's really what we're doing in the Freedom class. We're changing the way we think. Now, the workbook pages on the site are printable. Instead of shame, there are, at the end of each chapter, there are actually workbook questions at the end of each section. At the end of each chapter, you'll see a workbook. The same number of questions, 12 questions and a bonus question. But when it comes to the video series, you're going to find those on the site and actually on the page right where you are. When you're doing a video, you'll see linked right there the video on the video page. You'll see a link to the workbook questions, but also you can access those from the bulletin board. So just make sure that you pay attention to those, and I suggest you print them off. They make a great journal. Number 4, take advantage of additional resources that are available. Now, this is where we start getting into the parts of the Freedom Class that are really, it's your call. You can use these items that I'm telling you about now, or you can just bypass them. The first one, and I highly suggest you use these at least from time to time, is the live workbook discussions. I'm going to give you live workbook discussions at different times, and these will be posted where? On the bulletin board, of course. The Freedom Class regularly hosts webinars to discuss the workbook applications, and that's what we do. That's what I do when I go online and I do a live workbook discussion. We're going to take a chapter and we're going to work through it. But again, this is available only if you want to participate. Some people, they may go through a chapter and they've got it. They're not having any trouble with it, so they can just sail right on. But other people will be like, well, I'm having trouble with this one. What does she mean by that? That doesn't make sense. Or sometimes we want to tend to argue a little bit with things that we're learning. So just go ahead and take advantage of those workbook discussions. They are recorded. So if you don't get in on a live one, you can watch one. They're linked on the site. It's very easy to find. But again, that's only if you want to participate in those. There are also occasional videos that you'll find that I've made. Sometimes I like to comment on something maybe after I've done a video or we've studied a lesson. A lot of times I want to comment on something. Most of the time is a short discussion on a particular topic that needs clarification. And there's just some places like that throughout the series. The link will be titled according to the subject matter, so you can decide if you want to watch it or not. Whenever you see a video that is optional, it'll say optional. So you'll know you don't have to listen if you don't have time. There are also some other attachments on the site. These are links to some other resources that you might find helpful that I'm providing for you. But again, they're not required to complete the course, but they might be an asset to your advancement. So you might want to pay attention to those from time to time. And then again, the last thing, which I've already mentioned, is the bulletin board. It's on the home page and it's created for your convenience. So take advantage of that. Number 5, proceed at your own pace. The Freedom Class is structured so that you can move at your own pace. Take your time going through the Freedom Class. You know, sometimes when we have something that we want and we see an answer to it, but it's not a quick answer, it's like the Freedom Class, it's a process. I'm going to have to go through it. Kind of like a diet. Have you ever been on a diet and you really want to lose those 10 pounds like yesterday? You just want it to be over. I just want to get this off so I can move on. Well, we like to do that sometimes when we have something that we want and something that we need, but I would really like for you to just slow down and enjoy the journey, because the Freedom Class is delightful. It's really a lot of fun. I have had students that have been through it and want to come back and do it again just because they like it. It's so much fun, and you're going to grow incredibly during the process. But growth takes time. It's just like growth with a child as they're growing up. You know, they have growth spurts. Yeah, they do. But you're not going to put your toddler to bed one night and him wake up a teenager the next morning. And if that did happen, you'd miss out, wouldn't you? So take your time with the Freedom Class. Now, the Freedom Class is structured so that it's very easy to follow. As you go through each of the steps, the videos and the workbook pages are all together in one place. You're not going to have trouble finding anything. If you have any issues, you can always send me a message. Just hit the contact page and send me an email. You'll also see links to the optional resources like the workbook discussions and the other attachments that we talked about. Those are all together in one place with the videos and the workbook pages. So you have access now to those things, so go at your own pace anytime. Number 6, connect with us on Facebook. Follow me on my Facebook page, The Freedom Class with Debbie Wallace. I love hearing from my students about how the Freedom Class is changing their lives. Also, consider joining a closed group. The link to our Facebook page and other social media sites are on the website. Also, please add my email address, debbie@thefreedomclass.org, to your contacts right now. Make sure I end up in your inbox, not your junk file. Number 7, let's get started. Thanks again for joining me in the Freedom Class. I look forward to seeing what God is going to do in your life. And if you have any doubts about this, trust me, if I could do it, you could do it. What God did for me, He'll do for you. I believe that. So to get started, go to the homepage and click on the courses link in the menu, or if you'd like to, just go to the bottom of this page and click on the button that says, Let's Get Started. And let's do it. And I look forward to seeing you in the Freedom Class. I can't wait to see what God is going to do in your life.